Hello fellow cinethusiasts, my name is Christina and welcome to another Let's Get Reel's movie review. Today is Classic Movie Thursdays, my version of Throwback Thursdays. The month of November in the world of classic films is called Noirvember, and it celebrates, highlights, and discusses the genre of film noir. Now, film noir is a genre that started in the 1940s and it continued into the 50s, maybe a little bit into the 60s, and the tones were a lot darker, they were a lot moodier, there was specific lighting, the stories were about typical everyman who gets blamed for always a murder that he didn't commit, and then he has to go out and prove himself that he did not do this, and there's seedy characters and all their stories are woven in and out of each other, and it really is a play with your mind to see who the killer is in these movies. Now granted, what I just explained didn't always happen, but it was what was typical of the genre and the stories that they told. Today I will be reviewing the first film noir that I saw, and at the time I didn't even realize what film noir was, and I didn't even know who half the cast was. I just knew that it was an old movie and I had to get it because at the time, 8 years ago, I was just getting into classic films and I just wanted every classic film that I saw. Black Widow begins with a man named Peter Denver, played by Van Heflin. He is a Broadway producer, and his wife, Iris, played by Jean Tierney, has to go away for a few days to tend to her sick mother. Before she leaves, she tells Peter that he has to go to a party for his lead actress in his newest play, Carlotta Marin, played by Ginger Rogers. Then if he doesn't go, she's going to be upset. But the party is huge, no one really notices he's there except for Carlotta's very, very kept husband, whose name unfortunately slips me right now. Peter goes on the balcony just to get away from the crowd, and he meets this young girl named Nancy Ordway, played by Peggy Ann Gardner, and she's an aspiring writer. Peter kind of takes to Nancy. He sees her as somebody that he can take under his wing, and she's not a bad girl from what he was able to see upon his first impression. And he makes sure to tell her that there will be nothing between them, that he is madly in love with Iris. They go out, they have dinner together, and then she goes home. And he tells Iris not to worry about anything, but eventually Nancy starts coming around the apartment on Peter's invite to sit and write and do her work. Iris returns home. Peter had gotten her from the airport. She goes to go into their bedroom, and then she comes out with this shocked expression, and Peter goes in to see, and he finds Nancy hanging by a rope from the ceiling in their room. Now, everybody thinks that Peter was cheating on Iris and that he was the one who killed her. And now he has to set out to clear his name, and it follows the noir pattern. I find the story of Black Widow to be very interesting. I think it's a little bit different because of the subjects that it deals with. I'm not gonna give too much away, but it was kind of risque, I'm going to say, especially in the so prim and proper, neat and clean, fancy 1950s. It actually shocked me looking back at this movie because I haven't seen it in quite a long time, the subject matter that it kind of dealt with. It was very interesting though. The characters are fantastic, the actors are wonderful, they all fit their parts absolutely perfect. In this cast you have Ginger Rogers, Jean Tierney, Van Heflin, George Raft, who is the detective, and Otto Kruger as Nancy's uncle, and Nancy is played by Peggy Ann Gardner, who to me most famously was in A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. It was neat to see Ginger Rogers in such a serious, dark type of story because I have become used to seeing Ginger Rogers in her films in the 1930s and the 1940s. I mean, everybody knows that she was Fred Astaire's dancing partner in the 30s, and most of her well-known movies are these light and breezy and comedic musicals or just screwball comedies, and she did do her time in dramatic roles. She won an Academy Award for Kitty Foyle, which just absolutely rips your heart out. But it's interesting to see her in this darker drama. And of course, Jean Tierney is like the queen of film noir. In the 40s, that's almost what she was in. I mean, her most well-known film is Laura from 1944, and that is considered one of the absolute quintessential film noirs. It was one of the first movies ever brought up when film noir was becoming a genre. I don't know if that's correct, but Laura is her like crowning achievement in her career and what she is most well known for. Otto Kruger was in several film noirs. He was usually like a seedy character. He usually played Germans because he was German, and I know he was in a really good movie with Barbara Stanwyck that was more of a drama. I believe it was in the 30s. Very excellent in that. I feel like every time I see Otto Kruger, I feel like he never gets enough credit for the roles that he was in. George Raft was your typical tough guy, just like he was in his earlier roles, only this time he was like the older tough guy, not the type to be like romancing the lead or whatever like that. He was good. It was really cool, as I said before, for me to go back and watch all these actors, and this was like the first time I had ever really seen all of them in a movie before, and at the time I didn't realize it, and now going back and watching them in this role where they're all older and that's a little darker for what we're all used to knowing them in now is so fantastic to see. I absolutely love it. Black Widow is one of my favorite movies. I absolutely adore it. I just really like the way it was filmed, and it was actually filmed in Technicolor. Now most noirs, noir means black in French, and this was in Technicolor, so it's a film noir in Technicolor. And it was really cool to see everybody move in color and just the way it was filmed, and to see a weird snapshot of the 50s filmed in color. I mean, we get used to it as the time goes on, and it's not rare that films were made in color, but for some reason this just struck me this time as like, wow, this is a snapshot of 1950s New York in color, and I don't know why, it just amazed me for some reason. I found that really fun to watch. Black Widow is a film noir that I highly suggest seeing. Although it is not one of the most well-known of the film noir genre, Black Widow is a classic film that I highly suggest seeing. If you are a classic movie fan or a film noir fan, it doesn't matter. It is a great movie all around. If you like this review in any way, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below so that we can further discuss Black Widow and film noir and Noirvember. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. As always, keep watching movies and stay absolutely fabulous.